There are moments in the turning of history when the veil between the visible and the invisible grows strangely thin, as though eternity itself leans closer to whisper a secret into the ear of time. These are not ordinary days, nor can they be measured by the same quiet tick of the clock that governs our waking hours. Instead, they are marked by signs, subtle to some, overwhelming to others, that summon us to stand still and listen, for something greater than ourselves has stepped into the room. The 999 portal is such a moment, and it does not come to flatter the curiosity of the idle, but to awaken the souls of the prepared. Consider what the very rhythm of numbers teaches us. 9 is the end of a cycle, the last step before something entirely new begins. It is both completion and transition, a threshold standing firm between what has been and what is about to come. To encounter it thrice, woven together in a perfect symmetry of 999, is to stand at the edge of a vast doorway, where endings are not merely losses but deliberate closures, preparing the ground for beginnings far richer than anything left behind. The pattern is not arbitrary, nor is it bound to superstition. It speaks of a cosmic order that invites humanity into participation. Those who ignore such signs drift on, unknowing, while those who heed them find themselves aligned with purposes greater than their own. Yet let us not confuse such alignment with ease. A door may be open, but it still demands the courage to step through. The 999 portal is no exception. It calls upon us to release what is broken, to shade illusions that have lingered too long, and to walk unburdened into a space where the divine design is made clearer. This is not the work of a moment. It is the work of willingness. For who among us can enter a new world while still clutching the ruins of the old? We live in an age where distractions multiply like shadows at dusk, where the noise of daily life tempts us to forget the eternal. And yet, here is a summons, sharp, unyielding, insistent. It does not shout, it resonates. It is as if the universe itself has struck a chord, and the hearts of those who are listening cannot help but tremble in recognition. The 999 portal is not a spectacle to be observed from afar, but an invitation to transformation. To miss it is not merely to let slip a date upon the calendar, but to turn away from an opportunity that may never again return in quite the same form. The question then is simple, though not easy. Will you stand at the threshold and retreat? Or will you enter with the humility of one who knows that endings are but the secret faces of beginnings? For the portal is open now, and the choice belongs to each soul that hears the call. The number 9 has always carried with it a quiet authority, as though it were not merely the end of a sequence, but the consummation of a journey. When one arrives at 9, it is not simply another step, but the final threshold of a cycle, the place where all that has come before gathers into completion. Think of the seasons of life and how they move the seed that breaks the soil, the sprout that grows into fullness, the fruit that ripens, and then, at last, the harvest. The harvest is not a small matter. It is the culmination of everything that has gone before, the moment when purpose is revealed. Such is the essence of 9. It tells us that what was once in motion has reached its appointed fulfillment, that no further step within the old cycle is possible, for the story has been told in its entirety. Yet within this ending lies the paradox of new beginnings. For while 9 is a closing, it is not a finality in the sense of despair. It is the threshold that readies us for what lies beyond, the liminal space between what was and what will be. It asks us to pause and recognize that completion is itself a gift, one not to be feared but embraced. Without an end, nothing could truly begin. Without a completion, no renewal could take place. The number 9 does not whisper of destruction, but of transition, of the holy necessity of moving from one chapter into another. In the rhythm of the cosmos, numbers are not accidents, but markers of meaning. They point us toward truths woven into the very fabric of existence. To dwell at 9 is to stand at a sacred boundary, to see the arc of a story completed, while knowing instinctively that another is waiting to be born. It is why endings, though often painful, carry within them the seeds of promise. Just as the dusk signals nightfall, yet holds within it the promise of dawn, so 9 signals that something must be released, yet something greater is being prepared in its wake. When the cycle of 9 arrives, it brings with it a summons. Examine what has been accomplished, acknowledge what has served its purpose, and prepare to surrender what can no longer carry you forward. The world resists this, for human nature clings desperately to the familiar, even when the familiar has grown stale or broken. But 9 compels honesty. It refuses to let us pretend that the old chapter can continue indefinitely. It urges us instead to look with courage upon the doorway it presents, reminding us that we are not meant to linger in what is finished. Completion is not a small moment, but a sacred pause in which reflection meets anticipation. It is the stillness between the last note of one song and the first note of another. To recognize the significance of 9 is to recognize that endings are not empty, but pregnant with meaning, calling us into the unknown with the assurance that a greater rhythm is unfolding beyond what we can see. The alignment of 999 is not a coincidence of calendars, nor is it merely the repetition of a number that happens to fall in order. It is a rare convergence that carries within it a sense of divine precision, as though the universe itself has struck a chord of perfect harmony and invited us to listen. Numbers, when they appear in patterns, are not mute symbols. They are living signs, reminders that there is a structure woven into existence, one that calls us out of randomness and into recognition. To encounter 3 9s together is to face not only completion multiplied, but balance intensified, a sacred geometry of time that points us toward awareness beyond the ordinary. 3 has always spoken of stability and fullness, the way a tripod stands firm, or the way past, present, and future form the whole of time. When this fullness is married to 9, the number of endings and transitions, the result is profound. It signals not simply the close of one season, but the magnified end of many, a layering of completions that clears vast space for transformation. The portal of 999 is therefore more than the sum of its digits. It is the meeting place of cycles, where all that has reached maturity comes to a unified close, so that something entirely new can be born. This alignment is also a call to balance. The 999 insists upon harmony in the realms of spirit, mind, and body, urging that none can be neglected if one is to pass through this doorway. To walk through the 999 portal without balance is to stumble, for the threshold does not favor the fractured or divided heart. It calls instead for integration, for the gathering of the self into wholeness before stepping into the next chapter. Just as a key will not turn in a lock unless it is perfectly shaped, so the portal will not yield its treasures to one who approaches disordered or unwilling. And yet, within this order there is freedom, for when the alignment comes, it does not demand perfection of achievement, but sincerity of readiness. The threefold pattern of 9 does not mock weakness, but it refuses complacency. It reminds us that harmony is not the absence of struggle, but the choosing of direction, the steadying of the heart in alignment with truth. The convergence offers clarity, a piercing awareness of what must be surrendered and what must be carried forward. It is as though time itself pauses, opening a brief interval in which choices can be made with greater lucidity than at any other moment. To witness the 999 alignment is to be confronted with meaning that cannot be dismissed as accident. It is a summons to step into the divine rhythm, to acknowledge that order underlies even the seeming chaos of life, and that in this order there is a place prepared for those willing to enter with open eyes and willing hearts. The portal does not open to those who carry every weight of the past with them, for no one can walk through a narrow doorway while burdened with baggage too heavy to lift. The call of 999 is first and foremost a call to release, to let fall from the hands what has long ceased to serve any purpose. This is no small task, for the human heart is skilled at clinging. We hold to broken relationships because they are familiar, to habits that drain us because they offer false comfort, to illusions because they protect us from the discomfort of truth. Yet the portal is uncompromising. It demands honesty, and honesty reveals what is ready to be laid down. Letting go is often mistaken for loss, but in truth it is the art of clearing space. When the soil of the field is cluttered with last season's remains, the new seed cannot take root. When the vessel is filled with stagnant water, it cannot receive the fresh. To enter the alignment of 999 is to confront the necessity of emptiness, for only in emptiness can renewal come. One cannot carry every story, every sorrow, every outdated identity into the new season. The portal whispers that some things have finished their work in us, and clinging to them now would only hinder what is waiting. There is a courage required in release, for it feels as though parting with what we once leaned upon leaves us vulnerable. But the truth is that much of what we carry has already departed in spirit, though we drag its shadow behind us. Old dreams that have withered, old beliefs that no longer bring life, old wounds that we replay again and again, these weigh us down like stones. The act of letting go is not abandonment of meaning, but recognition that meaning has already been fulfilled. To hold it past its time is to resist the flow of life itself. Every ending aches, yet every ending prepares. Consider how the tree must shed its leaves in autumn, not because the leaves were worthless, but because their time was complete. Only in their falling can the tree endure the winter and be ready to bloom again in spring. In the same way, the soul is asked to let fall what has completed its cycle. It may be painful, for in the falling there is silence, a gap, an emptiness that feels uncertain. Yet without that emptiness, no new life can come. The 999 portal highlights what we already know, but rarely act upon. That to cling is to suffocate, and to release is to breathe. It is a moment of holy honesty, when illusions can no longer disguise themselves as truth, when burdens can no longer masquerade as strength. Those who will step forward must do so with open hands, for only the empty hand is ready to receive. Transformation never comes by accident, nor does it arrive uninvited. It is always a choice, though often hidden beneath the veil of circumstances that press upon us. The 999 portal stands as such a moment of decision, an opening where the old cycle comes to a close, and a new one beckons with promise. To walk through it is to choose transformation, to abandon the posture of survival, and instead embrace renewal. This invitation does not flatter the surface of life, but cuts deep into the essence of the soul, asking us to become more than what we have been. The nature of transformation is not merely to improve what already exists, but to alter it at the root. It is not a matter of painting over cracked walls, but of allowing the very foundation to be rebuilt. The portal offers not a polishing of what is broken, but a recreation, a chance to align ourselves with higher purpose and design. This is why courage is required, for transformation unsettles. It dismantles the comforts of familiarity, exposing us to the raw unknown, demanding faith that what lies ahead is worth the surrender of what lies behind. Such renewal is not only spiritual but holistic. The alignment of 999 presses us to recognize that the soul cannot flourish while the mind remains clouded, nor can the spirit soar while the body is neglected. Transformation calls each part of our being into harmony, insisting that true renewal touches thought, habit, desire, and action alike. It is not enough to think differently while living the same patterns, nor is it sufficient to act with change while the heart still clings to the past. The invitation requires integration, a wholeness that reflects the balance of the 999 itself. There is also a sacred urgency in transformation, for the door does not stand open forever. Windows of alignment come and go, and those who wait endlessly for a safer time may find that the moment has passed them by. To embrace transformation at 999 is to seize the opportunity that has been set before us, to recognize that the convergence of completion and new beginning is a rare gift. The soul that hesitates risks being trapped in cycles that have already finished, circling endlessly in spaces where growth has long departed. The invitation, however, is not a command without help. Just as a seed contains within itself the power to become a tree, so the human spirit holds within it the capacity for renewal. The portal does not impose something foreign, but awakens what has been dormant. It reminds us of the potential buried deep within, the truth that we were never meant to remain as we are. Transformation is both gift and demand, grace and responsibility. It opens before us not as a spectacle to admire, but as a passage to walk, leading us from the exhaustion of old cycles into the freshness of new creation. There are moments in life that come and go without notice, days that pass like water slipping through the fingers, leaving no imprint on memory. But there are also moments that rise with unmistakable weight, pressing upon the soul with urgency, demanding to be recognized. The 999 portal is one such moment. It is not simply another date upon the calendar, but a convergence of meaning, a rare alignment that will not present itself again in the same form. To treat it lightly is to risk missing an opportunity that will not wait for hesitation. Urgency is not meant to stir panic, but to awaken attention. It is the ringing of a bell at dawn, the sudden clearing of fog on a path that has been uncertain. Many live as though time stretches endlessly before them, imagining that every opportunity will repeat itself, that there will always be another chance to change, another season to begin again. But life is not so generous. Certain doors open only once, and if one lingers too long, they close with finality, leaving the traveler outside, staring at what might have been. The portal of 999 bears this character. It is a window in which completion and renewal meet, a rare interval in which clarity is offered more brightly than at other times. To feel the weight of such a moment is to realize that choice cannot be postponed. Indecision itself becomes a decision, for to delay is to decline. The urgency of 999 lies in its demand for presence, for courage, for willingness to move without waiting for every uncertainty to be resolved. Those who wait for the perfect moment will never act, for perfection in the temporal world does not exist. The portal asks only for readiness, not flawless certainty, and it extends its hand for a brief season before withdrawing. The rare quality of this convergence means that its absence will be felt more deeply if ignored. Just as the tide rises and falls, offering brief intervals of passage across a shore, so the 999 portal grants access for a time before it recedes. The soul that ignores its call may find itself wandering in the old cycle, repeating patterns that were meant to be closed, carrying burdens that were meant to be released. The urgency is therefore not arbitrary but essential. It is the recognition that grace is extended now, and now is the only moment we are truly given. To miss such a moment is not merely to skip a date, but to turn away from the alignment of destiny with opportunity. It is to choose the comfort of delay over the risk of transformation, to cling to the familiar when the extraordinary was within reach. The 999 portal does not shout in thunder, but speaks with the gravity of inevitability, reminding us that certain moments come but once, and those who are wise will not let them slip silently by.